Hello everybody and welcome to a Magicka Warden build. You heard that right, this is a Magicka Warden build. It's been a long time since I've released one of these on YouTube. Hell, it's been a long time since probably anyone's released these on YouTube for PvP, but we're back in business and it's nasty. This build is strong, it's got huge potential, some difficult farming involved in getting the set in particular that I'm going to mention, and it is going to play quite similarly to my DK. But some of the skills we're going to use here are completely out of the box approach to the class, and I do have a clip with this that I'll be releasing either earlier or after this video. So if you're going to ask for a footage of this build in action or commenting this build won't work or whatever it is, check out that video. It'll either be released immediately after this or just before it. I can't tell which because I'm recording this live at the moment, but we'll see. Anyway, this build is going to be played different to the normal, so I will be making another build with a bit more normal playstyle in that it will stack good Magicka, damage, etc, and pummel the opponent. This build is not. This build goes completely out the box and is getting its damage from the health pool, so we are really tanky in this, but our damage is still very good. We hit hard. I can take down pretty much any target in this. Obviously, if they're pretty tanky, it gets very tough, but our sustained pressure in particular is super high. Our burst damage is a bit lacking, and that's where the second build will come in, but this build definitely has more sustained pressure than the other one, so yeah. Now, disclaimer before I show you stats. Two things. Firstly, I don't have Undaunted, and secondly, the stats are going to look shit. The damage comes from the health. I can't stress that enough. So let me quickly stick my combat on so you can see this. Told you, pre-warned, these stats look rubbish, but they are not because of the way this class works. There you go, that's our stats. Our stats, 13k big boy Magicka pool. I know, mind-blowing. And 13k stamina pool, 1.6k mag regen. Now that stat does matter, hence we've bothered with it. And the spell damage, again, absolutely garbage because it does not matter. Makes no difference. None of our skills scale off our spell damage, they scale off our health. Hence the chunky ass health pool. Now, although that's 43k, we also have minor toughness on there, which I'd proc during a fight. So that puts us on about 46, 48k ish. I think at the most we get like sort of 49 ish, but don't quote me exactly. Our Mundus is the Atronach as follows, and we are using this food here, Red Frothgar. Increase your max health by 5,000 and your magic recovery by 457. This gives us the best overall damage in our health pool. Again, our skills scale on our health. This is a completely different approach to Warden, and it works very well. So, something before I move on to skill. This build has a bit of influence from two people. Firstly, Rouderer. He's a YouTuber. I was provided the link. I didn't actually know it was originally from him. By the other guy I'm going to mention in a sec. He apparently made like an original Warden tank build, which my friend Delta-Reptiloid has basically developed into quite a damagey build. And then I have taken further to completely optimize into a really strong dog build. Now, like I said, this one looks poor stat-wise, but it has a lot of effects to it. We're going to be making one that's strong stat-wise as well, and that will include big Magicka and health pool. That will be coming in the near future. But anyway, let's get on to this. So, our skills. Or gear. Let's go for the gear first. Our gear is as follows. 2 Scoria. Now, our big pieces are Triglyph. Our small pieces are Health Glyph. This one should be a Health Glyph. I just simply didn't have one on me, so that's why it's Triglyph right now. I accidentally put the wrong glyph on it and couldn't go back because I didn't have any left. But that should be a Magicka Glyph. Big pieces Triglyph, small pieces Magicka Glyph. Every piece is in pen, nice and simple. Our next 5 piece, if you can't guess it already with the name of the build, Abominable Sloadman, is BAM! Sloads. I know, it's horrible. Magicka stamina, spell damage, and please God nerf this bonus, basically. If you don't know what that set does, read the forums, watch YouTube. It's going to get nerfed at some point, it's broken. But anyway, enough about slows, we'll talk about that another day. And of course, the other 5 piece, as per the DK build, as I said, it plays similarly, is going to be, yep, Drugs Bane. Health recovery, healing taken. When you take damage, you apply Mage Defile to your attacker for 10 seconds. That is so good. Mage Defile really helps us build. A lot of dot pressure, limited burst. If we get that Defile up, we're going to grind them down very quickly here. The back bar is important. This is the Maelstrom Ice Staff. This is needed for the build. If you do not have this, your damage is going to be notably worse. You can still try and play it, but it makes a big difference because of the way we're going to need to play our weave. So the Maelstrom Ice Staff is going to give us your light and heavy attacks deal an additional 1,400 damage while on an enemy in Wall of Elements. It's a flat damage, unaffected by resistance, etc, etc, etc. This is going to be increasing our light attack damage by 600 to 700 in PvP. That's really valuable because our light attack's not hitting that hard, and actually, believe it or not, our burst is light attack bash. That's it. Light attack bash, light attack bash, light attack bash. It hits hard because of the way our buffs are going to work. Our skills are as follows. This #1 skill is the single best skill I have seen on the Warden class. It is so powerful, it's almost unbelievable. When you first look at this skill, probably when I even did the first Warden review, I probably looked at it and said, what on earth is that? It's nobody's going to use this. I was wrong. This skill is dead good. Arctic Blast. Envelop yourself in winter winds, healing for 14% of your max health instantly, and an additional 10% of your max health over 10 seconds. So essentially, this is giving you a 24% heal, which is already not bad. That's like a 5k burst heal, 6k burst heal, give or take, on this build. But the big bit here is the winds freeze enemies around you, dealing 2,500 frost damage every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. That includes the initial ticks. You're actually getting 6 ticks, not 5 ticks. Making this a pretty chunky dot. This is nearly a 15k dot right here. That's a lot of damage. It's very, very good, very powerful, and it adds into our burst juicily. The other thing that's really good about this is it gets buffed by a lot of your passives, etc. So it's very, very nice skill, and it's going to help proc chilled, which is going to be key to the way this plays. #2. Now, #2 skill is completely up to you. There's a few good options available. #1 is Structured Entropy. It will give you more max health, which will in turn increase your damage. #2 is Lotus Blossom, which will give you, obviously, the heals on your light stack and front bar crit. Mage Light is not that bad in terms of getting the crit. Swarm is not that bad. The AoE morph of this to get a good spread in your AoE damage. I should mention this build is largely AoE damage based. You've got huge, huge AoE control. All you're going to do is focus the guy you get slowed, basically. But that, again, is why I'm going to be making a second version of this build with more AoE focus rather than that single target aggression. #3 is going to be Gripping Shards. Conjure Isis Shards around you to skewer enemies, dealing 1,238 frost damage every 1 second for 12 seconds. Again, gigantic dot here, 15k dot, and it's going to root them on cast, which is very useful because it's going to lock down our area, and that's what we're going to be able to do well in this build. We've got huge income and healing over time, and when we lock down an area, they cannot push into that. If we get a small corner, we're good to go. Damage done, again, based on our max health. These are your big damage abilities alongside your ultimate. #4 is going to be Bird of Prey. So again, Minor Berserk, it's a flat buff. Anything that buffs our weapon or spell damage, pointless. They suck already. But anything that buffs our damage, that's a good thing. Bird of Prey gives us that, and it gives us good mobility. Perfect skill for the bar. 5, overpowered skill, Shimmering Skill. If you know Warden, I shouldn't have to say any more about that. Pretty broken. And then our ultimate on the front bar is Northern Storm. Doesn't hit too bad. It gives that AoE CC, adds a lot of aggression, major protection. Very strong ultimate, really, really important for this build. It hits hard. Now, this is going to hit extremely powerfully in the next build. So, yeah, but this build, again, is more based around those procs, essentially. On the back bar, we are going to be running Elemental Drain. Absolutely must have. This is going to give us Major Breach. Scarabs is too expensive to cast for us here. We are very low on Magicka. Our return is fine in Magic Pool. Our sustain is very good because of the glyphs I'll show you in a sec. But we do get a decent amount of sustain, decent buff of damage, etc. Because although these are coming off your health, they're obviously affected by your spell pen since it's Magicka-based damage. #2 is going to be Leeching Vines. You want the Minor Lifesteal more for this because the other one scales, again, off spell damage, so it sucks. But Minor Lifesteal and all of this, it's a big amount of income and healing. If you can keep this buff up, your healing is going to be really unimportant. We don't have a single burst heal in this build. We don't need a burst heal in this build, so this does the job beautifully. #3 is Blockade of Frost. The tooltip on this is pretty poor. It does cost a bit, but this buffs our light attacks. And again, as I mentioned with the Maelstrom, it's really, really useful. I will explain the combo after I finish this, but it is key to the build here. It's also going to obviously give us more chance to proc chilled. It's going to help us lock our opponents down with roots, and for that reason, it's a great skill. #4, you're going to want the Stamina Morph of Netch. We do have a good amount of stamina to stay in this build. You can block a lot. We're going to be bashing a lot. Bash is a good chunk of our burst damage. And it's going to give us Major Sorcery, which is alright. Doesn't really change anything. But the big thing is that Stamina Return. Very, very helpful for sustaining stamina. Magicka is already fine for sustain, despite that low pool. I will mention something a bit more about sustain in a bit. #5 is Ice Fortress. This gives us a resistance buff and minor protection. Enough said about that. Very good skill. And our back bar ulti is going to be Healing Thicket. You do want the Morph of Trees that gives you the healing when you move. Sometimes you're going to need to kite on this. It's also very good for your group if you're playing in a group, etc. That's where it's going to be pretty useful. Our potions are going to be Essence of Invisibility, Health, Vanish, and Heal per time. There is no other reason for that invisibility other than the fact that there is no other good combination with Health and Heal per time. So you might as well take the Vanish, basically. Otherwise, we would go for Lingering Health, which is going to give us the 15% of Major Vitality and the healing over time as well. But that Linger doesn't last very long, and I think I prefer the flat health recovery from the Restore X Health instead. In my opinion, that's a nicer pop, but it comes down to preference at that point. So I mentioned about sustain. We're going to mention two things here. Number one, our sustain is coming from our glyph on our front bar, infused on the sword with a damage Magicka and restore Magicka glyph. Good glyph. I love it. You'll have seen this in most of my builds. Great for sustain. The rest of our sustain is on our glyphs. Two infused reduce spell cost glyphs, and then we have an infused block and bash cost glyph. Now that middle glyph, pretty undecided on that. I really couldn't make a final decision, hence I've just released it as it is. It might be worth running another reduced Magicka cost glyph here. I don't know yet. And I don't think any degree of testing would ever know, because it's probably pretty situational. But this does help you sustain your stamina when you're doing your main combo, which is literally light attack bash, which sounds stupid. Again, it works. The back bar trait is currently sharpened. I don't have transmute gems. The best trait for your back bar here would be charged. When you choose to run a poison, which I do for this build, you should run with charged, because it's going to massively increase your status effect chance. And with the passive you already have in winter, you're going to have 100% uptime on route. So as soon as they roll dodge, as soon as they're off cooldown, they're going to be rooted again and again and again and again and again, and all this ice. And that's so much control, which is going to help this build a lot. The poison I use is vitality draining poison. I don't know what the flowers are for this, but it gives you Minded Defile for 4.4 seconds, 21% less healing, and it increases your own healing by 8%. Okay, so we mentioned our skills, etc. Now, how does this work? I almost feel that I should get a victim for this. I guess the best way would be to watch the video in action, and I might make a video explaining this combo afterwards. But what we're going to be doing is, first of all, we're going to be placing our heal buffs, our defensive buffs. So resistance buff, healing buff, and our netch. That's going to give us our defense pool. If there's a caster, we'll also go for shimmering at that point. Then we're going to cast Bird of Prey for our resistance buff. We're going to move in, and we're going to cast this skill here, Arctic Blast. Glorious. Best skill you're ever going to see. And then we're going to place Gripping, and then we're going to place Blockade. That's it. Once those are down, we're going to early drain. Our magic is going to be nearly out at that point, and all we're going to do is go to our main bar. I'm going to go, I'm dead serious, light attack bash. Light attack bash. Light attack bash. No ability at all in that weave. I know that that doesn't make any sense to people who are used to the generic playstyle of the game. I must have released 100 builds on my channel, and every single one of them is a normal build. This build works. You've got to watch the video before to understand it. There are probably people in my stream right now thinking, what on earth is he doing? This build is awful. This build is incredibly strong. It is almost unreal how underwhelming the stats look compared to what you do because of the way these health skills work. The combination of the ice dots, the combination with those, with our Juxtafile, our blockade, light attack increase, our bash damage is already hitting pretty good, and then our Scoria and Sloads is huge pressure. It is massive pressure. I have fought Sorks in 1v1 in this build, good Sorks on the EU server, who are able to deal with Sloads, no problem. They can't handle the damage of this build. It's an overwhelming amount of damage. It just eats through any sustain because of the non-stop procs from damage, this massive dot pressure. I know it sounds ridiculous that dots will do that damage. Mods, if you want to clean the chat, by the way. It sounds ridiculous that dots will do that damage, but it really does. Next, CP. Now this gets really stupid in the blue tree, so we're going to come to that last. Green tree, 56 Shadow Ward for block. We only have 13k stamina, but we have a block glyph on. That reduces our block cost. We have Shadow Ward on. We have heavy armor. 5 heavy, 2 light right now is what you want to run, in my opinion. That heavy armor is in turn gonna be able to keep our stamina sustained. Next gives the stamina sustained, so we can actually block a decent amount of time under high pressure, and that is going to help you mitigate a fair bit of your damage. So it is worth running some block in there. 48 in Befoul, we've got debuffs, so why not run debuffs? Simple solution there, really. 64 in Arcanist for your magic recovery. 7 in Mooncard for your stamina. The 7 can't really go anywhere else, so they might as well go here. I'll get it then, fine. And then we're running with 35 in Bashing to reduce the cost of that Bash weave, and 40 in Warlord for break free. Any more is a bit of a waste. Red tree, just the 7 in quick recovery for your healing, 9 in expert defender for light attacks. Normal structure here, 40, 37, 37. And normal structure here, 66, 54 for that 120 passive. The final bar is looking weird. Blobs, you're running dots. Why are you not running Thaumaturge? Well, okay, this is where it gets a bit strange. These skills, although they're dots, they don't scale with Thaumaturge. They scale with your direct damage. I don't know why, but they do. So you don't really want to run that stuff. You want your points into Master Arms instead. Increase your damage done with direct damage attacks by 23%. So that's going to be a good place to place those points. And then the other tree are 56 Elfborn, 56 Element Defender, 39 Spell Erosion, and at this point the healing are finally worthwhile. Okay. I'm not a Vampire. I would not suggest going for Vampire. Now, Vampire Drain is another skill that technically scales with your max health. Yeah, it's not really worth going for Vampire Drain here because it's interruptible. It is a pretty cool skill. The real issue in going for it is by going a Vamp, DK dots are going to slightly overwhelm your heal over times, so it does get pretty rough. The lower damage you take, the better to go. And so for that reason, I'll not go for it. Alternative sets, if you can't get this stuff, wait for the next build, because the next build is all purchasable. There's nothing that needs to be farmed. And anything else I've forgotten to mention? I don't think so. I think I've covered it all, basically. Probably. Race. I thought it was obvious. Argonian, of course. Glorious. Look at that sexy appearance. Oh, by the way, if you're asking about his outfit, this is on my YouTube. This is from the Dragon Guard series Outfit Master. It's on my YouTube. Pretty recent. So yeah, feel free if you like the outfit to build this as well. Good luck. Like I said, it looks weird. The only way to know it is to check the video where I release this. I will release it tonight with this build video. It will just be a flat highlight from my stream. But yeah, it'll be on my YouTube straight away with me and Alex. I've also had some good solo play with this as well, but my Shadow Play is currently having problems because it needs an update. And for whatever reason, the update keeps corrupting. So I haven't been able to save clips for a while. I've only got Twitch footage. But hey, I've got Twitch footage. That's what matters. Good luck with the build. I'll see you guys again. Best of luck. Peace.